Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Unconnoisseur of Jazz channel. We're here tonight to talk about a specific album, and I'm just going to read a quick blurb about the album from iTunes. New Orbit, released in 2001, came a bit earlier in the release of the series. It's a spacious, beautiful, darkly hued acoustic quartet album featuring Shipp with one of the heaviest lineups imaginable. Wadada Leo Smith on trumpet, William Parker on bass, and Gerald Cleaver on drums. So tonight we're going to talk about Matthew Shipp's album New Orbit from 2001. Oh, he's ready to cue the music, boy. He's ready to get going. Music.
Good deal. Hey, it's good to see you guys tonight.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, you too.
You too.
It's been a good week of listening to music.
Yeah.
What were you going to say,
Sorry
Dan?
you couldn't be with us. Sorry you couldn't be with us today, Drew.
Yeah. I am too.
Yeah.
I know it was a great service. I know that memorial and the kickoff would have been fun just because of the orneriness of Waylon. But I can't imagine how many hundreds of people really wanted to be there. For John's service, I could almost imagine I thought about it. It could have been in the auction house and still not had enough room for everybody that really wanted to be there.
That's right.
The impact that John Waylon made on people's lives and the number of lives that he has impacted is enormous. So,
It was the main theme for the service today about how he impacted lives.
Yeah.
It really, really was the main theme. How he found a way to make you feel like you're the most important person in the room when there's 100 other people in the room.
I told this story recently because of the impact that it had on me. One year I'd been out there for Christmas, probably at the Rices or at the Goldsmiths, and ended up at Waylon's house, and the snow came in, and the grandparents didn't come pick us up. Well, John, knowing that I'm stuck there at Christmas time, ended up with a gift under the tree for me. And I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10. But he had a gift at Christmas, or Santa Claus did. And those are the things that hit you. Of course, his words of wisdom over the years as well, whether wisdom or orneriness. But yeah, I can imagine what today. How many people could have spoken on the goodness of John Waylon?
Buy low, sell high, and
take a piece of the pie. You know, it's interesting because that was what first bit of advice. How do you do business? And that was it. Buy low and sell high. That's the best advice that I got for you. And then a year later, I went back and said, well, that's working, but what's the next bit of advice? And he asked me how I was building my business. And I said, I build relationships first. And he said, well, then you already know my second piece of advice. So let me give you a third. Take a piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
And those were his words of wisdom. Build relationships with people. And I wish more people understood the importance of that today. Build those relationships. So I didn't know we were going to start out with a shout out and a tribute to John Waylon, but I really appreciated that. And I know that was just today, June 1st. And was that Neapolis where it was?
Waterville.
Okay. And that means you guys just got in. You would have been there this morning, had the afternoon to come home and get some rest and then hit record.
Yeah. So here we are.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So let's get back to Matthew Shipp and the album New Orbit. What do you say?
Yes.
You ready? All right. So you said it was a good week listening to music. For some of us, it was a good week. For others, it was a struggle to enjoy the particular artwork that we were listening to this week. So let's do this. Let's start with some clips to give our listeners some perspective on what we're going to talk about tonight. And I think you already have mine queued up because it's first on the list, if that's right.
I do.
Okay.
It's
All right.
Go ahead and tell us which song. And
song number 4, and the song is called Chi. and you can start me right at about 1 minute, and you can play 45 seconds or a minute. That's completely fine.
Sorry, I floated off in there.
Yeah,
I would have stopped it at a minute, but
even your face, your face was funny during that. But so the reason I picked it, of course, was to highlight Wadada Leo Smith, the trumpet player. And in my notes, Wadada equals free. I mean, he's clearly a free jazz trumpet player. There's no doubt about it. So, then you got a little bit of his solo work right in the beginning, and then the rest of the quartet comes in, and you hear Matthew on the piano and the bass and the drums. So I just wanted to highlight a little bit about Wadada.
I ended up listening to a bunch of his albums this week. He does a lot of solo albums where he just plays, hits record, and he goes. He's got a lot of labels that has been recorded on, but I went out and ended up checking out his ECM album, which was super, super good. It was called The Nile. Cultural Jazz on ECM from 1993. I ended up just falling in love with his sound, so I'm glad you played a clip to highlight him. And I'll tell you more about what I found listening to him. He was born in 1941. I mean, he is no spring chicken, but man, he can blow a horn.
Yeah, well, he's been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
and he works primarily. This is the interesting thing. We didn't mention this before the clip. This album really is an avant-garde meets free jazz, and so it's not your typical jazz album. But Wadada says he works in the field of creative music. And I think that goes back to Rosh Hashanah, Roland Kurt, where it's black classical music. You can't put this in a little jar and say that's jazz music. It is creative music. And I think that was part of his take with the Rastafarian movement in the 70s and so many other things. So,
and I think it goes well with Matthew Shipp's kind of view towards music as well. It's just creative. It's a creative outlet for him, as opposed to a pigeonhole or I have to do this.
Yes.
Because of I'm a jazz player, I have to play this way. He's very creative in other ways.
Yes.
Musically than just the standard jazz music. So you're right. It's a crash of avant-garde and free jazz. It's a collision.
It's a collision. I love that.
So,
Dad, what song would you like to hear a clip of?
I'd like for you to play Syntax, starting at 2 minutes, moving forward to about a minute.
personally, I just want to keep it going. I don't want to stop it. I really don't.
Yeah, well, that's about as good as that track gets, actually. You can hear the da-da, 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 an ongoing theme, da-da, 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 and with the trumpet and the bass in the background. I chose that track because that's for me the easiest track to listen to. The others didn't stir me. Almost the others I didn't want to put in my ears because it just wasn't pleasant. Most of the others were not pleasant to me, and so this was the most pleasant of all the tracks here. So
it reminds me of a quote I read this week that Matthew Shipp said, "Beautiful doesn't have to equal pretty." It's a beautiful theme that he's playing there.
I can see that.
Da, 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 da. And just as we were playing the clip, I wrote, Shipp equals filling dark space. What does there on the trumpet playing, I think, pretty dark and airy, and then Matthew comes in and fills in that dark space with that theme, making something beautiful out of something dark.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like that.
It's a good clip. It really was.
Yeah. As well as I'm thinking how elementary the piano was. It's just a smooth, elementary flow to it. But he's a genius otherwise. But in this da-da-da-da-da-da, I couldn't play it, but I could see not a beginner, but a moderately beginning pianist be able to play at least that portion there. So, yeah, good. Drew, what's your track?
Well, Dad, that's a good question. Which clip do I want to hear? I want to start at the very beginning. After what you said, I'm going to change my clip up a little bit, and I want to go to the first song on the album called New Orbit. And I'm going to start that at about 25 seconds in, and we can hear Matthew Shipp play. And then the rest of the band comes in. So I'm going to start that at 26 seconds. This goes right back to the haunting sound. He fills in those dark tones, but it's such a compliment. And when you hear Matthew Shipp playing the piano, and we skip that first 20 seconds where it's just him on the keys, and then the band starts to come in where I hit go, you get to hear them kind of flowing with each other, but you can hear Matthew playing the piano. And that's what I was thinking about listening to Dad's clip again, how this whole album started.
You know, we played 3 easy clips, though, and the rest of the album, we picked 3 very easy clips. Let's easy musically. Let's listening wise, and the rest of the album, there are some spots where it's not as easy to dig in and get it. So
yeah, it doesn't sound very free jazz or avant-garde with the clips we played, does it?
No.
It doesn't. and I think that that's probably what I enjoyed most about the album. We'll get into rating and more of the dialogue later, but some of those things that I really appreciated is it wasn't in your face, but it will get in your face pretty quick. So you kind of stay tuned. I am going to be a little selfish here because the original clip I wanted to hear was Orbit 3, and it's a bass solo, and it's William Parker just pulling a bow across the double bass, not plucking it. But his solo, it's a solo track. 123 to 223 is the end of the song. So I'm just going to drop it in at 123. We'll listen to a minute of bass solo, and then we'll go from there. We'll just cut it right there. Just to hear everybody play, there's kind of a song for everyone throughout this, but then to hear them come together on the other songs. One of the thoughts that I kept having listening to the entire album, and I didn't think about it until you mentioned that darkness. The movie Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey, and he's longing to get home, and he can't get home, and then he finally does, and there's some resolve. Imagine being stuck by yourself that in another dimension. There's that loneliness, that longing, that dark emptiness of it's within reach. I have the memories, and I kept thinking of Interstellar and how that movie hurts my heart. I feel bad because it's loneliness, and that's kind of how New Orbit sounded to me.
And it's interesting that you mention a movie, because every time that I listened to the album, I kept thinking this could be a soundtrack to a dark, lonely movie. And I even made in my notes, is it folly? I think that's the term for it, right? The soundtrack noises that they make for the movie soundtracks. It's called folly or foley. I kept thinking every time I listened to the album, this has got to be used in a dark movie somewhere. I don't want to say Scooby-Doo because it's not.
No,
but a creepy movie. You could definitely
maybe not as creepy as much. Just this
eerie,
Interstellar. It's eerie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Myers coming out of the water.
Wadada Leo Smith.
Oh man.
Yeah.
The what struck me about all of the musicians is you look over at who they are, where they're coming from, and their experience. William Parker is a bass player. Didn't ever actually have any real lessons, but he studied with Richard Davis, who we knew from Out to Lunch, and then he studied with Jimmy Garrison, which was John Coltrane's bassist from 61 to 67. So William Parker has come from jazz giant bass players. He studied with those cats. Led his own stuff. I mean, the concept of this is, who is he really? And where did he come from? Of course, he played for a decade with Cecil Taylor. So I understand where the free jazz comes from when you think of Cecil Taylor. So there's some big names on this album that I am now aware of. Wadada, we've seen his name a lot just because of our years with older stuff. But man, Wadada's got some history too.
He sure does. Well, and I just want to point out some of the guys that Matthew Shipp has played with. He's played a lot with David S. Ware, who we covered. What? It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a hot minute. But you and I both love that album.
Yeah.
The David S. Ware, and he played with David on 2, 4, 6, 8, at least 15 of David S. Ware's albums.
Oh yeah.
So we've heard him before.
That was 2000. Number 7.
Yep.
Surrender.
720.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, oddly enough, I came across this week because I was looking for not Kamazi's album. I was looking for Karma, and I think about Karma and Surrendered having the same color, that purple gold on the front. And I hit it thinking it was Karma, and I was like, "No, this is David Ware. I got to go back and find Karma." And about halfway through the first song, I'm like, "Well, no, I'm not changing this because I know it's coming." So I'll just listen to David S. Ware.
Exactly. I did the same thing this week, except I meant to go to David S. Ware and listen to Surrendered. So, because I wanted to listen to it as a Matthew Shipp album and really concentrate on what Matthew Shipp was doing. So, okay, what do you say?
Let's talk about
just like I've said, the last 121 weeks. Whatever you do it to jazz. You're going to hear in our week in music coming up in just a little bit. That's what we do. We listen to jazz all week. We're using the list from Nate Chennon's book called Playing Changes, and this week we are finishing the year 2001 with Matthew Shipp, New Orbit. So we're finishing out a year in the list, and you know what? What a great way to finish the year. All right, that's all I'm going to say. On my brief bio for Matthew Shipp, here's my bullet points. He started playing the piano at age 5, and again, just like Wadada Leo Smith, he's no spring chicken. Matthew Shipp is no spring chicken. So he started playing the piano at age 5. He moved to New York in '84 to actually start his career. He had been stuck in Philadelphia, and then he moved to New York to actually start his career in '84. So it's not like he hadn't played, but he wanted to expand and get out and get his name out there. So he moved to New York. Initially, most active in free jazz. And again, if you listen to some of his earlier works, which I did, and I'll go over in my week in music, but it's pretty free. So, and again, tonight's album is a mix of the avant-garde and free. He was praised for his work by many other artists. I put David Bowie on the slide, but there's a lot of people who consider his work groundbreaking, or what's the other word I'm looking for? Not groundbreaking, but influential.
Yeah,
very influential. And even the likes of David Bowie said, "Hey, I'm really digging what Shipp is doing," and so I'm gonna he's influencing me. But just like we talked about just a second ago, he did play and record with David S. Ware, who we covered several weeks ago on our list as well. And again, I kind of fell in love with David S. Ware that week. But when you listen to that album as a David Ware album, you kind of put the other players on the background unless you listen to it as a Matthew Shipp album. Yeah. So again, just the brief bio that I picked is it's hard to get all the notes, in 5 or 6 little bullet points. But if you notice this week, I started the first one with the letter S, started the second one with the letter H, the letter I, the letter P, and the letter P. So
you practicing for your Rice Family Christmas letter already?
Practicing for the Rice Family Christmas letter.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You know it. I did put a quote by Matthew up here, and I did a lot of reading on the interviews that he did with some of the other writers, Jazz Times writers. And so I pulled this quote off of a website, and I'll make sure Drew has the link so he can put it in the show notes. But the quote I've got is, "People have to realize that being a jazz musician is very frustrating. This historical thing is so heavy in jazz that it's just distressing sometimes. You just want to relax and be in the moment." Now, I'm not paraphrasing that quote, but there was a quote in front of it where they were talking about the greats, and he kind of he said, forget Herbie Hancock, forget Miles Davis, and kind of almost forget Louis Armstrong, because he feels weighed down by them. The history, and this is what jazz is, and you can't do anything else but that. And in his quote here, he says, I just want to relax and be in the moment and play my kind of music. So I thought it was a great quote, because you have to remember that when you're an unconnoisseur like me, and the sounds aren't pleasing to my ears. He's throwing away the history of jazz and doing his version of jazz. Because I asked myself several times this week, is this really jazz? It's free. Go ahead.
It is jazz to me, and you'll find that out when we get to the score and my thoughts really truly of the album. Matt, as a trumpet player, I know that that your music was really pretty strict. You had charts that you got to read, and improvising is tough. One of the things that I have loved to do was just ignore the rules and sit and play. And learning to improvise for me is sitting and learning to play. And there are times when I'll just go. I don't know the song. I don't know what chords or what notes I was supposed to play, but I play a note that that resonates, and especially with the flugelhorn. I love just letting it go. It's a whole song. It might go on for 8 or 10 minutes as I just rip it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no regard for the greats in the past. Just let it go. And that's what in Wadada, that's what I heard this week, is just free. And Matt, the same thing. Matthew Shipp, just don't let the burdens of the history of this great music tie you down. Just be free. And I fell in love with the album for that very reason. It was just free to be. It was a new orbit.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
I know that when y'all score, it'll be different than mine, but
that's right. And I'm not putting you down. I'm glad you've got that view. I really am. I'm glad you've got that view. So thank you for letting me do in the slideshow, the information. It doesn't take me long anymore to do those slides, but I enjoy doing that for you guys. So thank you for letting me do that. You can always find out more information on the unconnoisseur.com. That's our website. We have a merchandise site on the link on there as well, where you can click on the merchandise link and order some merch. We also have a 24-hour streaming radio channel, WTUR.org. That's our 24-hour streaming radio channel, where you can listen to jazz, and sometimes you hear our voices read nice little quotes and stuff in between songs. We're also on podcasts, so if you don't want to see our beautiful faces and you just want to listen to our beautiful voices, you can go to Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify and hear our podcast. We are getting a lot of traction on Spotify, and I really appreciate you Spotify listeners for tuning in and checking us out. So I really do appreciate that. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the little bell down there to get notified when our new episodes come out. So again, thank you for letting me do the slideshow. I really appreciate it.
Good job. Good job.
Matt, I figured that on your slideshow you were going to talk about one of the facts about Matthew Shipp when he was working in the bookshop. It says it in his career on Wikipedia. He was working at the bookshop as an assistant manager, and he was fired. He threw some books at his boss and decided he'd never work another day job in his life. And that's when he went into music. So I kind of figured you might have had that one on there, but
the W didn't work out for the theme that I was going for tonight.
Skipped books across the boss's face.
Yeah.
Pissed off his boss by throwing books.
Oh man, that's funny.
hired and fired the same day or something.
there you go, good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Man. Before we get into Matthew Shipp, do we want to move into what's new, old man?
I think so. Yeah, let's do it. Dad, why don't you tell us what's new?
What's new?
Okay, I'd love to. This group, Cabs, and the album is called Sojourn. This is an Australian band that I found out. And so all of these artists are obviously Australian, and there's 6 different artists on this album. It's his second, they called it his second solo album. Cabs stands for his last name, Michael Cavanaugh, which I didn't understand at first, but the more research I did, I realized this is an artist whose last name is Cavanaugh. It's a mixture of spiritual jazz, funk, progressive jazz, and interestingly enough, 1970s psychedelic rock. And you'll pick that up as you listen to this album. He's recognized as being influenced by Herbie, by Alice Coltrane, Tony Williams, who is might be on my list. He might be on my list of drummers, top 10. Billy Cobbin and Harvey Mason. Now, I don't know Harvey. I've heard the other names, but I don't know who Harvey is, and I didn't take time to research it. But I think our listeners will really appreciate this. It's produced and recorded and labeled in April 24 of this year, 2026. So, I encourage our listeners to go and check out Cab's Sojourn album. There's parts of this that just stick out so prominently, and it's very catchy, and it's really easy to listen to. Each track is easy to listen to. So
I found it on Bandcamp.
Okay.
And it is on iTunes. So
there's a video, a 3-minute, 39-second video on the track First Light. It's radical because I suppose it's supposed to be Cab waking up in the morning, and he's dressed in what would look like a sniper's uniform.
Uh-huh.
And he's moving about his apartment or his hotel room or whatever it is, while this first light music is playing. So and it's just 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Check it out. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like the video. You'll like the music, I'm sure.
I got all of the descriptors while I listened to the album that you just said. Yeah, the 70s psychedelic.
Yeah,
I got that while I was listening to the album. For sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a good album.
Good stuff.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Drew, did you get a chance to check out the album?
I have not. No.
Okay. All right.
You'll like it, Drew. You'll like it.
Yeah, I've just made sure it's on my YouTube music list so I can check it out.
Right. Good. Thanks.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
This was Matthew Shipp, New Orbit, and it was out on the Thirsty Ear label. It was first released in 2001, but it was recorded in 2000. It had Matthew Shipp piano, Wadada Leo Smith on the trumpet, William Parker on the bass, and Gerald Cleaver on the drums. I just wanted to make sure that I indicated that it was on the Thirsty Ear label.
So, again, I didn't make many notes this week. I made a lot of notes about some of the other albums that I listened to. Spacious, Dark, and Eerie were some of my notes that I made while I was listening to it. Again, the Foley, movie tones. I found it hard to even get 39 minutes of concentration in on the album. It's not one of these albums that you can zone out and do some work for 5 minutes and then come back and still be where you need to be. You kind of have to pay attention all 39 minutes to this album to understand kind of what's going on and the concept of the album. So I'm glad it wasn't 55 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes long, because 39 minutes was just about the right amount for me to be able to focus on the album. There were several times in the week where I would start the album in the middle instead of at the beginning again, just so I could get a better understanding of the middle tracks. Because again, sometimes I'm listening to during work and you got to zone out and concentrate on something for work. But then you come right back into the music and you're almost lost. Like, how did I get here? Where am I at? So small bites, in my opinion, small bites is better than trying to digest the whole thing at one time. Listen to song 1, take a break. Listen to song 2, take a break. Come back and listen to song 3, take a break. Small bite. And that's what I found all week long listening to Matthew Shipp. I could take 10 or 15 minutes, 2 or 3 songs at a time. But if I tried to do an entire album, my brain would almost separate itself and I would go off somewhere else and concentrate on something else for a while. Not because he made me lose interest, but it was almost too much for my senses, for my hearing to comprehend for that long and concentrate for that long. Where there's other albums where I could put in my ear and enjoy, all 55 minutes of the album. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just I found it hard to stay focused this week listening to Matthew Shipp. Some of his solo work that I listened to is amazing. And I even made it in my notes, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But for this week, for me, this album, it didn't keep my concentration well.
Good insight. Good info. Yeah. Appreciate it. I really like the way you articulated that, because if I could have articulated it that way, as you did, that's kind of what I would have said. But partly due to this last week I had in music, I did not listen to it for one whole week. I got back to it yesterday afternoon. And then later this afternoon, I got back to it. This didn't resonate with me. I didn't feel a pattern. I didn't feel a flow. I just felt like it was broken up. And it might have been because the medium I was listening to, I didn't find the whole album one track after another until this afternoon. And then it was easier to listen to. That is because I didn't have to go back and find track 3, track 4, track 5. But I didn't feel it. I wasn't there with this style. Obviously, with the avant-garde free jazz crashing together. It wasn't like cymbals crashing. Wasn't like that. But it was just a real crash. So, yeah, that's my limited response to this whole album.
You had a different kind of week this week, anyways, and you'll get to it in your week in music. But it would have been hard for you, this week, to get it in. Drew, What about you?
My take on the album kind of matches what some of the reviews were in the magazines. It was, like you said, Matt, listening to some of Matthew Shipp's other work, there's some real free jazz out there that he's done, and he has pushed the boundaries. But listening to this, the approachability, and it was obvious that he was fighting for it. Now, in a Pitchfork review by Matt LeMay, refers to Pastoral Composure, which was an album recorded the year before as Matthew Shipp Quartet. So listening to that, you go, okay, it makes sense when he says, New Orbit, Matthew Shipp has crafted an album that manages to merge the accessibility and raw appeal of this album, Pastoral Composure, with adventurous new textures. And to me, the album had the rich textures that I could have hoped for. It wasn't a John Coltrane Ascension album. of free jazz. It wasn't Cecil Taylor unit structures. It wasn't a Don Cherry or Nat Coleman. It wasn't Peter Brotzman. It wasn't some of the free jazz that really goes above and beyond. It wasn't Art Ensemble of Chicago. So there, to me, was an approachability. And as I mentioned earlier, there are nights when I'd love to just sit and play notes and make a song out of it. And I've thought maybe I should just hit record on a device so that I can hear myself later. It sounds like crap, I'm sure, but I'm working towards something. Wadada made that simple for me. So the approachability as a musician, I appreciated it. Now, listening to William Parker on the bass, I listened to the album probably 5 or 6 times all the way through because it is 40 minutes. Listen to it as a William Parker album as a bass player and think, wow, what is going on for sure. Everybody kind of had their thing in this, but not everybody played together their thing in this. But they all played with each other, so they filled in some blank spots and they gave lots of room for other members to play. So to me, I really love the way the album came together. But I am gravitating towards that avant-garde free jazz sound these days. And I do respect the quote that you brought to the table. When we talk about the history of jazz, where did it come from? The tip of the spear, Pops and Oliver, Joe King Oliver, Bix and Hoagie. There's
Sidney
Bechet. There's some deep history that you want to honor as a jazz musician, and that's heavy. That's a heavy burden. Well, when you start to say, hey, I respect and honor it, and I want to do the next step, I want to see what that sounds like, I want to keep moving away from that straight jazz, if you will, and I just want to push the expression of a creative music. That's when the freedom begins to happen. And to me, that was this album this week. They just had this idea of let's come put some things on the table, see what works. And we got 10 songs. And you say take a sample at a time, but the longest song is 7 minutes and 50 seconds. In line behind that is 7:16, and the next longest album is 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So you've got a 2 minute, 4 minute, 3 minute, 7, 2, 3, 7, 1, 3, 1. These are all short little songs. And so that's what I appreciated about it, is that it was a new song, but it continued.
But
It
again,
seemed like it was all one long.
Karma is 27 minutes, and I can listen to Karma all the way through, and it keeps my attention.
Yeah.
Okay. This album, I struggled for that 7 minutes to stay focused on listening to the song. That's where I was coming from. I do appreciate you saying that they were on the shorter side, which they were, but I struggle because it's, and again, I shouldn't do it, but I'm comparing and I shouldn't, because 2 weeks ago, that's what we talked about.
And I was able to stay focused on these. I could
Good.
listen and dig in. It was a it was a sandwich. It was some fried chicken every time I bit down. One of it had spicy wing sauce on it. The other was just ranch dip. So that's kind of how I got it.
Okay, let me
dinner is being fixed, and I can smell it right now.
Let me ask you both the question. When would you pick to listen to this? What would you be doing during your day that you would pick this album to listen to? Because I struggled this week with that very thought. It's not that I dislike the album, but what would I be doing where I would be saying to myself, I got to go listen to New Orbit?
My response to that is I could listen to this while I'm riding my bike.
Okay.
Because
Okay. All right.
I feel like I could listen to it, but I wouldn't have to get engrossed in it.
And it would piss you off enough to make you pedal hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But
okay.
But you harassed me about having an e-bike, but that's okay. It's okay.
You pedal 20 feet and you ride 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, well, it works for me.
It's awesome, though. I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I also was thinking as well, it's almost like catching a wave. That thought came to me, and I don't quite understand, but this album, you have to catch the wave of it, don't you? You have to start feeling that heavy wave is coming. I want to get on board.
Dang.
Now, I don't surf, so I'm not going to get on board. Okay, but it's like, yeah.
Mic drop. That's a brilliant way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that analogy because as I think that's probably the way in which it hit me. You start to feel the waves rolling in. If you've watched surfer movies, they always talk about, oh, look out in the distance. Here it comes. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's no wave in the distance. And the next thing you know, they're riding a big wave. Once you start to feel the movement of it, then you pick it up. To me, I listened to it doing a lot of things this week. I listened to it while I was editing photos. I listened to it while I was setting up gear for the photos and video Saturday night. I listened to it mowing the lawn today. I listened to it sitting in the car waiting for my daughter. I've listened to it in calm moods. I've listened to it in sporadic, I need the energy moods. But this morning I left the house to go edit photos, and at 7:45 it was in my ear, and I thought, man, what a peaceful album to listen to. And I maybe because I did catch that wave, and for me it was just kind of a nice. It wasn't a big break. It wasn't going to roll over and crash on me. It was something that I knew where it was going, how to ride it, and how to enjoy it. I love that analogy, Dad.
Yeah, man, I do too.
I'm going to start thinking about that. Can I surf this wave?
That was great. That was beautiful.
So
I struggled to catch the wave all week.
And you guys had a lot of things coming up as well. So let's rate this. Let's talk about how our week was shaped up, because everybody's mood is going to be different when we listen to it. I think when we come back and listen to it in a couple of months, it might hit differently. And to me, it might hit differently then than it did now. I may say, I went too high on my score for that. Which I'm going to tell you now. I had no problem after my second listen to, and then, of course, jumping out into Wadada, jumping more into Gerald Cleaver, listening to some William Parker, coming back to this album and really listening to how these musicians worked, I had no problems at a 9.5. I gave it a 9.5. And just like you guys are going to say here in a bit, and we forget to mention it all the time, to me, the craftsmanship to play together was also part of the awareness. They've all been with some great musicians. They've all been leading great bands. So for them, that awareness and the craftsmanship together, it's a Matthew Shipp album. So you look at, these are his songs, the creativity that he was able to bring to the table by himself, and then providing these creative musicians, the spirit and the drive, that's that wave for me. And the emotion, you could tell that I was pretty stoked about this week's album. But I am personally moving into the love of this avant-garde and free jazz music. So that's why I can gladly say I give it a 9.5.
Do you think, Drew, that you're moving into that because you're playing with the group, the jazz group on Sunday night? Do you think that's part of it? And the improvisation you're playing, you're doing?
I think I'm moving into it because I have a greater appreciation for their musical abilities. Yes, when it comes to improvising, last night at jazz, every song that we were going to do, it was all blues tunes. He wanted to play blues. He'd give me one chorus. We'd play the head a couple of times, and piano would go, vocalist would go, and then he'd give me one chorus. And everybody after that got two choruses. And the last song, it came around to me, and everybody's got two. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to get two choruses, at least on this song. It was Blue Train. I'm going to have fun with it. I get one chorus, and he goes, hey, that's great. It's time to wrap it up. And I'm like, do I suck that bad? Why is he going to give me just one chorus on every one of these songs? We got in the car and Lily goes, I don't understand what that was about, but he just didn't want you playing. I'm like, I don't get it. I thought I was doing pretty well. And I think that most of it was just focusing on the kids because we got the camp coming up. But I do appreciate more than ever what it takes to be a jazz musician. And then to hear the free jazz and trying to make sense of it. Who was it that would say, Tiger Woods' coach, don't go practice the shots you know you can make. Go practice the ones you can't and get extremely good on them. And I think that I focused a lot on trying to understand free jazz to the point where I'm starting to see it. I don't understand it. I can't explain it, but I can feel it.
Good. Thanks for that answer.
And I think that our palates are expanding. Calling ourselves the Unconnoisseurs is getting kind of tough because we are very critical when we listen now. We know what we like. We know kind of what we don't like and what's hard to listen to. Our palates have expanded over the last 3 years to be able to not only appreciate the work, but not only to enjoy the work, but appreciate the effort and the work that goes into it. We enjoy it, but we can appreciate even some of the stuff that's beautiful but not pretty. Let's put it that way. And I'll start with my score and finish the criteria. The craftsmanship, awareness, and creativity were all there for me this week. The one that really I just couldn't get was the emotion for me this week. I'm being ultra critical. I can't think of a time where I would be doing something where I would think to myself, I have to listen to Matthew Shipp's New Orbit. So for me, that affects my score. And I thought about it all week. Yes, I could listen to it while I mow the grass, but my lines would end up wavy in the yard. I could listen to it while I was taking the dog for a walk, but I then would end up pulling him by his neck half a mile down the road because I'd be wanting to walk fast. He'd be wanting to walk slow. For me this week, my score is a 5.5. It's rough. It is. It was rough for me. This is one of the lower ends of the score since we started on the new journey. It's not because the music is bad. It's just because I didn't enjoy it. Yep. I'm not saying yuck. I'm not saying don't listen to it. I'm just saying
I don't have to enjoy your score, but I do have to respect and understand and I do understand exactly where that comes from. I really do. So I'm glad that was your score.
All right.
It'll force you on that to come back to it later and go, did I miss something?
Yep.
So, in my counseling experience, when I ask people to give me a score, a scale from 1 to 10, but don't say 5. This evening while we're having dinner, your mama said, "So what's your score?" I said 5. She said, "I thought you couldn't say 5." So it's actually 5.12. Okay.
It is or is not. You are or are not. There is no in between.
Right.
Or do not. There is no try.
The creativity, yes. Craftsmanship, no doubt. And I, like you guys have said, you have to respect the craftsmanship of these musicians, every one of them. How do you question any of that? Because these guys are well tuned. They've been playing for many, many years, and so they are masters of their craft, recognized masters of their craft. So that score is high. The creativity, it's over the chart. It's off the chart. But the spirit and the emotion, it drove me away from enjoying the album. So I'm at a 5.1. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Good.
Okay. And again, for you listeners who have been following us for a while, our scores are usually my score is usually much, much higher. And I'm not saying in any way to not listen to the album. please go out and listen and judge this album for yourself. Just don't just take our word for it. Drew, I'm glad that you like
for it.
Yeah,
It's great.
Take Drew's word for it, for sure. But listen to the album and come to your own conclusion, because that's what I did this week. I came to I told you earlier in the week that I was going to be truthful in my score. And it's not that I haven't been truthful before, but I've let you talk me into higher scores when I shouldn't have. And I'm glad we didn't talk about this album, because you probably would have talked me into a higher score. I'm glad. I'm happy with my score. 5.5 this week.
Yeah.
So
good.
Well, Matt,
my score.
Go ahead, Dad.
My score might have been affected by my week in music. Okay, that may be part
go
of
ahead. Why don't you get right and tell us about it?
Okay. So last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, your mom and I and Steve and Melinda Eckert were down in Gatlinburg, and it was the Gaithers Family Fest. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but once I got there and I started listening to these various soloist family groups, their Gaither vocal band. I mean, Friday for 3 hours, there was a break for 3 hours, was music in my ears. Saturday morning, we were in the venue for 3.5 hours. Saturday night, 3.5 hours, and everything was different. Sunday the same way, and so I was flushed with music from the Gaither perspective, but that's not the only music I listen to. Russ Taff is a name that harkens back to the 70s and 80s, and he was one of the performers, and he did sing one song solo, but he doesn't have the deep tonality that he did before. That's all I'm going to say about that. I listened to Allegria by Shorter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we covered, you didn't know that. Well, yeah, you did know that. We covered that last week.
The Art of the Trio, Volume 1.
Oh, forget about it. Yeah.
Art Blakey, Moaning.
Yeah.
Come on now. I listened to Roy Haynes. I listened to Max Roach. Another group I listened to was that yesterday afternoon, and today I listened to Whiteheart, their first album from 1982.
Vital Signs.
Well, it was actually just Vital Signs was their second album. Whiteheart was their first, and it's just good music.
Yeah.
From the 80s, contemporary Christian.
Gershmells. This is Mrs. Gershmell speaking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was my week, and it might have colored my score on this album. But
well, you got opposing kind of sides that you had to listen to this week.
Yeah.
Got to listen to, not had to, but got to. So the opposition of the Gaithers versus Matthew Shipp. You're going from one extreme, boom, to the other.
Their vehicle, Steve and Melinda's vehicle, they have Siri. Is it Siri?
Sirius. Yeah.
And all the way home, all the way there and all the way home, it was a Christian artist, Christian music.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with it, but I was thinking they could go to a jazz jazz grid.
Can we
I even pointed it out.
Just play one song. Just put it in my hand for a dime.
Yeah.
Oh man!
I just want one song.
Just one song.
Anyway, that was my week in music. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Well, when you did text that you were hearing Russ Taff, I remember the Metals album from 1985 and then the self-titled Russ Taff from 87. Those two were staples in my ears back at that time period. And I love those two albums by Russ Taff. I'm on iTunes now. He's got a lot more music out now, but man, those two, again, those are some of the albums that I listened to, and I knew the song coming up next, and I knew how long each song was, and blah, 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 blah. So he hit when you texted, and just brought back a lot of memories of listening to Whiteheart and Russ Taff and Petra and all those. But yeah, so I had the opportunity on Wednesday to see Lady D perform again. She was playing with Hubie Ashcraft again, and I got to spend 3 hours at Union 12, which is kind of a wedding venue meets farmers market kind of venue. They had food trucks out, and they did have some of just booths set up for the girls to shop, and then the band playing near the back of the wedding venue courtyard out on the lawn. So it was a beautiful night. Delaney did super well. I mean, I would expect nothing less from Lady D playing with Hubie Ashcraft. Funny story is, the drummer for the band was there at the gig. His knee is all taped up, and it just humongous brace and things. And after the performance, I went over. Somebody was talking to him, and Kendra said, "Hey, I think that's the drummer over there." So I went over and introduced myself, and I said, "My name's Matt, and I just want you to know that I want your knee to heal up fine, but take your time, because that's my daughter up there on the drums playing it, and I love watching her play with Hubie." He got so excited. He enjoyed talking to me. We had a nice conversation. He came back and actually talked to Delaney, and I was there for the beginning of the conversation where he had all compliments. "Delaney, your time was so well. Your timing is just impeccable," he said. And he even said, "I envy that, because I wish my timing could be as good as yours." She does have very, very good time, is keeping time very, very well. So I don't know. I was so proud of her that night. Just being able to play with Hubie, is a big deal.
Drew, can you imagine? We caught a very limited emotional response. Can you imagine how, when he walked up to that drummer, how excited he was?
Oh, it would have been tough for him.
No, I don't want you to come back. I want my daughter to play. No, she's good.
I was excited, and he's a nice guy, and all the members of the band are super cool. The piano player, he remembered my name because I met his son 2 weeks ago, and it just had a good time with the band 2 weeks ago. But yeah, he came up to me and said hi, and said how much fun he had playing with Delaney.
That's cool.
She got to play with the first chair cello player who was playing the fiddle that night. From the Fort Wayne Philharmonic. He's first chair cello, but he was playing fiddle for Hubie that night, and he hails from Okinawa, Japan, and he has played with some of the biggest names in country music as well. And we're happy to have him in Fort Wayne, but he could go play with you name country band, and he could go play with them. That's how good he is. So Delaney's got pictures up on her Facebook page of a selfie with him and her up there. So it was a fun night listening to Lady D play and perform. She had the student showcase the next one of the next nights on Thursday. So we went to the student showcase to see some of her students perform. And again, we didn't stay for all of the students for the teacher before Delaney, but we stayed for most of Delaney's students. And again, you're talking 5, 6, 7 year olds who are just getting into drumming. And then she does have some older students. Some of her students are very, very, very good. But it was fun to see a different side of Lady D and her teaching abilities. So I listened to several other Matthew Shipp albums this week. Of course, 2001 David S. Ware Surrendered album. I went back to that because, first of all, I enjoyed the album. I listened to it from Matthew Shipp's perspective and just focused on Matthew Shipp for that album. 2002 Songs is the name of the album. It's a solo piano work. It's got A Mighty Fortress Is Our God on it. It's got let me look it up real quick while I'm looking it up. 2006 One is the name of the album, which was another solo piano album. And I really got into that, and I sat and listened to the whole thing, which, I mean, it's good. I really, really enjoyed it. Alternating Current with Jeff Cosgrove. I tried listening to that, but all I could think of were the Rush lyrics. Alternating Current, forced a show of hands. So I broke off and listened to a Show of Hands album by Rush. Let's see what else. Code Breaker from 2021. I like to kind of jump decades and see how they progress as an artist. Yeah. So I went all the way to 2021 with Code Breaker, and 2018 Zero. Both of those, again, are solo piano albums. So again, I got my fair share of Matthew Shipp in this week. Yeah. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Good. Well, I was able to enjoy several of his as well solo. I didn't have it written down. Usually I take a screenshot of which ones I've been listening to, but I listened to Horizon, which was Erie Yamamoto and Matthew Shipp. Pillar of Light, which was Ivo Perlman and Matthew Shipp. And, of course, I got over to Wadada, and I listened to The Nile, which was a Wadada Leo Reflectivity from him, Red Sulphur Sky from 01, and then Wadada Leo Smith had Culture Jazz on the ECM label from back in 93. So I stepped back into some of that. I have a lot of music, and of course I've listened to Karma and David S. Ware Surrendered. I've listened to a host of things because it's been a busy week. So it was a good wild week in music, but I've just thoroughly enjoyed The Orbit. That was kind of how I got stuck in that. So that wraps up our 2001 journey. And now we'll take a quick break. We got Texas Jazz and Blues coming up in a few, actually it'll be a week from when this comes out. So we've got a lot of music coming up in that. But starting this week, the three of us are going to come up with our top 10 albums. So what's next? Matt's going to tell us his top 10 trumpeters in the jazz world. Dad's going to tell us the top 10 drummer list. And I'm going to give you the top 10 tenor sax player list. So those three will be a back-to-back kind of drop as we come into the Texas Jazz and Blues camp. Hopefully those 3 episodes will drop. That last one while I'm in camp, so that I don't have to do any trying to dialogue and record and get that episode out. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming ahead.
You know, this is unprecedented because we're used to using other people's list or not criticizing lists, but maybe going through a list and saying, yeah, yes and no. This is unprecedented for us because this is our list. Dad, you're gonna tell us the top 10 drummers. I'm so excited to hear your list, and I promise not to criticize either of your lists while we put them out. Mm-hmm. So I'm so excited. This is a tough journey. I've talked with both of you guys, and it sounds easy. It sounds like, oh yeah, this is going to be super. I know who's already number one, but man, you start getting to 5, 6, 7, and 8, and it starts to get tough. Where am I going to put? And I'm leaving this guy out, and I'm putting this guy in, and he should be higher. And it's tough, guys. So I'm excited about next week. I really, really am.
Oh yeah.
It'll be good.
It will be good. So we'll have basically 20. You guys will have 20 minutes apiece. I'll have 23 or 24 minutes, maybe 25, 30.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, John.
Wait a minute, John. Hey, y'all, son of a bitch, you're going to give me $50. Who's going to make us $50? 65, 5, anybody going 75?
25 and a half, 30, 30, 31, 31, 32.
You may get 5 minutes to talk about drummers. Speed round.
Yeah.
Here's the rhythm. It's 120 beats a minute. Go.
That's good.
Man.
I'm looking forward to it.
That'd be
Hey,
good.
thanks for sticking around this long. We really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button.
Yep.
Hit the bell so that you're notified when our new episodes come out. Always feel free to leave us comments. We love comments on our videos, and we will respond as quickly as we can. If you like something tonight, tell the producer. And if you don't like something tonight, you can just leave me a comment and tell me I'm an idiot.
You're an idiot. There. I got the first comment on that one.
There you go.
All
You're a
right,
baddie.
goobers. Love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Love you.
Yep.
Bye.
Cheers.